And for more, we're joined by former U.S. diplomat Jim Jatras. Thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Natasha.
And so, Jim, I mean, it seems as though the president has been wanting to work with Russia, and in fact, he even mentioned that he would ease sanctions if President Putin would work with him on Syria. Do you think his hands are kind of tied at this point with pressure on his administration with the Mueller probe happening right now?
Not only are his hands tied, his feet are tied too. I mean, he's in an impossible situation. Look, let's look at the big picture. The band just plays on here. That when we talk about no proof of anything that Russia has done for the application of these sanctions, we're going to see more now because of what came out today about Microsoft claiming that they were being spoofed by fake Russian sites, again, with absolutely no proof, is what we see is that from the beginning of Trump's presidency, even before it began, the allegations of collusion, Russiagate, all of it was designed to prevent him from moving forward on that promise that he made during the campaign. And every time he turns around, another thing is being thrown out there to poison the well further and make it impossible for him to move in that direction. And by the way, as far as the British Foreign Secretary calling for that, let's never forget that with the Steele dossier, the British government, with the Skripal poisoning, the white helmets, they are at ground zero in this initiative.
Interesting. And I mean, what about, you mentioned Britain, what about them pressing the EU now for more sanctions against Russia?
I think that you have a lot more potential pushback in the EU, especially from Germany, which wants Nord Stream 2 built, is being threatened by Washington for putting sanctions on companies that participate in the building of Nord Stream. I think that's going to be one of the real litmus tests, whether the Europeans are able to put their own national interests first or whether they're going to be subject to diktat from Washington and indirectly in a way from London to make sure that they cannot do anything to look out for their own interests.
And, what are your thoughts about Germany urging the EU to basically go ahead and set up a payment system independent of the U.S. so they can move forward with the Iran nuclear deal? That
potentially could be extremely significant, and let's see if the Germans have the guts to do that. I can't help but think of back when, during Obama's presidency, when Merkel learned that her phone was being listened to by American intelligence, and she just had to sit there and swallow it because she knows she's a puppet ruler of Washington. There's nothing she can do about it. At some point, the Germans decide they want to be a sovereign country, and that means coming to their own relationship with the rest of the world and not being dictated to. I think it's an open question right now.
And, we still don't know what was said behind those closed doors in Helsinki between President Trump and President Putin. Are you somewhat optimistic about the future between the two, or do you think as long as this Mueller probe is happening, we really can't have better relations?
No, I'm not optimistic at all. As a matter of fact, in a way, it doesn't matter what Mr. Trump said to Mr. Putin behind closed doors. As far as I can tell, what he controls is his mouth and his Twitter thumbs, and that's about it. The rest of this government is carrying on as though Jeb Bush or Hillary Clinton were in the White House, and they simply don't care what he wants. And I think the Mueller probe, especially with Cohen pleading guilty today and Manafort being convicted, I think he's looking for a very rough path that will be determined one way or the other by the November elections.
We really appreciate your insight. Thank you so much, Jim Jatras, for us.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.